right, that's much better. That's much better. My name is Ron Daniels, Dr. Ron Daniels, president of the Institute of the Black World 21st Century and founder of the Haiti Support Project. An honor to be a friend and strong supporter of one of the most progressive congressmen of our time, the Honorable John Conyers of Michigan. Let's give him a big round of applause. Make it be better than that, the Honorable John Conyers. He will be coming to this session. Let me say that, among other things, the Congressman has been a strong champion of Haiti for years and years and years. In the high points, in the low points, no matter what the temperature is, we can always count on Congressman John Conyers to be on the case. And so we expect him to be here shortly, as well as the co-host, Representative Frederica Wilson. But of course our task today, and we're honored to take up this task, because the issue of Haiti, the first Black Republic, and its trials and tribulations, most recently after the earthquake, is a subject, of course, that we're all intensely interested in. And when we hear of the tropical rainstorms coming and all that, our hearts go out because we keep saying, can Haiti ever get a break? Because it just seems that there are so many difficulties. And yet we gather people here today who are true believers. Every time I send out something, I say for the love of Haiti. Because no matter how difficult it is, we have to continue to love Haiti. And because it is important. Because as Haiti goes, at least in my opinion, so goes much of the developing world. We want to see Haiti again as the bright beacon of hope and promise for all the peoples of the world, having in fact waged the first, having created the first Black Republic and waged one of the most magnificent revolutions in the history of the world. So that's what keeps us going, that's what keeps us on course. So today our subject, of course, is the recovery. What is the nature of the recovery? What are the challenges? What are the promises? What is the state of things under the regime of President Joseph Michel Martelly? How are things going in Haiti? And we've assembled an outstanding panel in order to make that happen. And of course, when the Congressman comes, he will, of course, make his remarks and will stay as long as he can, as will co-host Representative Frederica Wilson. I should introduce his Chief of Staff, who is here, my dear friend, who is always on the case, the Chief of Staff for Congressman John Conyers. Just give a wave to Cynthia Martin. She loves Haiti too, and she goes back and forth and whatever. First up, I'd like to introduce, and they will speak in this order. And what we've asked our speakers to do is to confine their remarks about 10 minutes, no more than 10 minutes. So we can have some dialogue among the panelists, but of course we're eager to get you involved in the process as well, to have some engagement in the process. And so in this order, they will speak. Let me get my notes. First and foremost, Joel is it Daniels? Daniels. Okay, almost like Daniels. Okay. Joel currently holds the position of Deputy Special Haiti Coordinator for Political Affairs in the Office Director in the Office of the Special Haiti Coordinator. He's involved in overseas political and multicultural affairs, the rule of law, and public affairs, and also is involved with the Executive Secretariat. So we expect to hear from him, also dealing with issues of women's empowerment working groups. Secondly, and I understand she's just back from Haiti, I'm hearing people share stories here, is Elizabeth Beth Hogan. Elizabeth Beth Hogan assumed the role of Director of USAID's Haiti Task Force in September of 2011. Her office provides programmatic and policy support to the USAID mission in Haiti and serves as the lead communications link between USAID and U.S. audiences, including the interagency community, Capitol Hill, the media, development partners, Haitian diaspora, and the general public. Big job. Ms. Hogan is a member of the senior Foreign Service for 25 years. And she has experience with assignments in Latin America, including Guatemala, Jamaica, Cote d'Ivoire in Africa, and South Africa, Asia, and India in Asia. Ms. Hogan also has served as a Senior Development Counsel to the Ambassador of the U.S. Permanent Mission to the United Nations in Geneva. And then we're honored also to have Mr. Mario Joseph, who many of you have heard of. Mr. Mario Joseph, the New York Times called him Haiti's most prominent human rights lawyer. He has led the Bureau of Avocats Internationaux in Port-au-Prince since 1996. For his more than 20 years as a human rights lawyer, Mario has spearheaded historic human rights cases, including the Robotoid Massacre trial in 2000, hailed as one of the most important human rights cases in the Western Hemisphere. And Yvonne Neptune versus Haiti, the first Haiti case ever decided by the Inter-American Court of Human Rights. The Robotoid Massacre prosecution and BAI's cooperation with U.S. immigration officials led to the deportation of 3 former Haitian generals, including the highest-ranking officer ever deported from the U.S. on human rights grounds. In November of 2011, BAI filed claims with the United Nations on behalf of 5,000 victims of cholera brought to Haiti by the United Nations peacekeepers. BAI also represents 8 victims of former Haitian dictator Jean Claude Duvalier. Next we have up Brian Concannon, who has been on the case for many, many, many years. I don't want to get his age away, but he's been on the case for many, many years. And I used to enjoy every time I would go to Haiti. It was obligatory to sit down with Brian and get a sense of what was going on. Brian, of course, is a lawyer, is the founder of LJDH, which he'll explain. I didn't quite grab it, but I know what it is. He's the director and co-managed the BII in Haiti for 8 years, from 1996 to 2004. Worked with the United Nations as a human rights official, 1995 and 1996. He founded IJDH and has been the director since 2004. He helped prepare the prosecution of the Robotoid Massacre in 2000. Again, one of the most significant cases in the Western Hemisphere. He has represented Haitian political prisoners before the Inter-American Commission on Human Rights and represented the plaintiff, Neptune versus Haiti, the only case ever tried before the Inter-American Court on Human Rights. And then, of course, Melinda Miles, no stranger to this work. Ms. Miles is a longtime advocate for Haiti who traveled there nearly 20 years ago. Ms. Miles has worked for 10 years with Haiti's popular movements. Immediately prior to, my page is breaking down here. Lost my spot here. Oh, I got that. And community leaders on issues ranging from, gotta save the trees, so that's a good idea. Ranging from democratic participation, increasing national production while protecting the environment. As co-director of the Coyote Center, from 1999 to 2004, Ms. Miles fundraised to plant over 1 million trees in the northern Outagamie while coordinating advocacy efforts through the international Let Haiti Live coalition. She led delegations to Haiti for policymakers, congressional staffers, activists, and leaders in the NGO community, including independent observers for the 2000 election and teams focused on human rights. The holding of humanitarian aid from the democratically elected government, women's issues, and the first observer team after the coup d'etat in 2004. Last but not least, Alexander Main. Alexander Main is the Senior Associate for the Center for Economic Policy Research. In his work as a Senior Associate for this organization, Alexander Main focuses on U.S. foreign policy in Latin America and the Caribbean regularly, and he engages with U.S. policymakers and civil society groups to inform the public debate. He has also played a central role in CEPR's Haiti work, assessing the impact of U.S. policy in Haiti and monitoring the relief and reconstruction efforts. Alexander is frequently interviewed by media in the U.S. and Latin America, and his analyses on U.S. policy and the Americas have been published in a variety of domestic and international outlets. Before bringing up our first speaker, I'd just like to take a point of personal privilege to also acknowledge that we have Mr. Richard Morris with us. And he's a special envoy for the President of Political Affairs, President Michael Joseph Martelli. And if you haven't been to the Olafson and had the ROM experience, then you ain't been to Haiti yet. So just want to acknowledge that he's in the house. Let's give him a round of applause. Also from the private sector, Mr. Lionel Delator with CLED is also in the house. Lionel, would you go over the interesting points? Okay, we're prepared now for our very first speaker.
Would you prefer that I speak from here?
It's your choice.
I don't know if my microphone works, so I guess. Good afternoon. Of course, I want to recognize this opportunity that Representative Conyers and Wilson have given us to have a chance to talk to you a little bit about the work that we're doing in Haiti. And I want to thank Dr. Daniels for his introduction. I'd like to actually pick up on something that he said. Haiti is a topic that I'd love to talk about for many reasons, which will become clear as I speak to you. But one point that he just made about Haiti's glorious history is what's important for us to keep in mind as we talk about Haiti. And in fact, this summer, while on vacation, I picked up a book that was written by a professor at Duke University, Laurent Dubois, which is Haiti, the Aftershocks of History. And if you haven't had a chance to read it, I recommend that you do. But I'd also like to point out that, yes, while I was on vacation, I was working on Haiti. Because that's what we do in our office. We focus on Haiti all the time. What I'm going to do is I usually in conversations like this, it's much better for us to interact and for us to hear what might be on your mind and that we might be able to help to clarify or expand on. So I prefer to leave as much time as possible for that engagement. But I'll just give you a little bit of sense of what we have been doing at the State Department as it regards Haiti in the course of the last year since I've been working on this portfolio. The one thing that I want to point out, of course, is that this could not be a better time to be working, from my standpoint, to be working on Haiti. And to put it another way, to be working with the people in the government of Haiti towards the objectives that they have set for themselves, which is to make the country a better economic power, to make the country a better place for its citizens, to give people a better opportunity to be successful. What has occurred, of course, we are all familiar with the fact that, let's say, for the course of the last 21 years, Haiti has, with 2 interruptions, Haiti has experienced a democratic system. Certainly for the last 18 years, Haiti has had a democratic process which has involved elections, which has involved popular participation in the running and decision-making in the country, which is something that we celebrate, and it is a process that we want to continue contributing to. To the extent that the government of Haiti and the people of Haiti believe that the U.S. government can be a partner, I think we're going to continue to be able to enjoy that role. There is a government in Haiti now. Not only is there an executive, but there is an independent judiciary, there's an independent legislative body, which are key aspects of our country's ability to live within its democratic principles. Interestingly enough, this is a time which is sort of unique in the sense that you have an executive whose party is not dominant in parliament, which means that there needs to be a lot more compromise, a lot more negotiation, a lot more engagement between the political actors in Haiti. You have a judicial system with the recent creation of the Judicial Council, which is completely independent, but yet nascent, needing to start to establish all the rules and procedures that are required for judicial independence to take full flight in Haiti. I mean, you have a situation where freedom of speech, freedom of expression reigns. People feel comfortable in being able to speak their minds and to be able to participate in discussion, in debate, criticism, contribute to the improvement and development of the country. Haiti has an extremely good relationship with its neighbors, but not only its immediate neighbors, such as the Dominican Republic, Cuba, Venezuela, but also all the countries in the hemisphere, and maybe we could even increase that to all the countries in the world, who are currently right now at the United Nations discussing a mandate extension for the presence of United Nations troops, MINUSTAH, in Haiti. On that point, this is an area where we work very closely with the government and people of Haiti. We all believe that the sooner MINUSTAH, the United Nations, can depart Haiti, the better it will be for all actors, the Haitian people as well as the member states of the United Nations. For that to happen, Haiti needs to have the ability to provide the security that its citizens require. And on that front, we spend a great deal of our effort working with the government of Haiti in the development of the Haitian National Police. And this is something that I believe can be considered an achievement. The people of Haiti seem to have a fairly high regard for the capabilities of its police. I have an individual who works in my office who was formerly, it's always important to have experts around you. It's better to make, it helps you make better and good decisions that way. He is a former policeman in the New York City Police Department for close to 15 years and has served many years in UN missions all around the world. And one of the things he told me was that it was remarkable that if you consider that the Haitian National Police is 18 years old and the achievements that have been accomplished thus far is something that should be regarded as a good accomplishment. It is a testament to the people of Haiti and to the will of the governments of Haiti to understand the importance of developing a security force that is respectful of its citizens' rights and yet is professional and has the capability to provide the security that the country needs. The government of Haiti has set a benchmark of having 15,000 individuals in uniform and under arms throughout the country by the year 2016, and we are going to spend a great deal of our time helping them achieve that goal. Another area I think that is worth talking about is the efforts that the government of Haiti has put into place to generate its own income. The fact is that for many, many years, as we all know, Haiti has had to rely on its neighbors and other donor countries around the world to assist its efforts at development. However, more and more, the government of Haiti and the people of Haiti are recognizing that the wherewithal is really there in Haiti. The effort to increase collection of taxes, the effort to increase collection of duties and customs payments at the borders is something that we encourage the government to do, and we are providing, along with the governments of Canada, France, and other friends of Haiti, assistance to that end. We have recognized the effort that President Martelly, Prime Minister Lamotte, and members of Parliament have put into developing, or at least establishing, a permanent electoral council, which is critical for the elections that are already delayed and need to happen as quickly as possible in order to replace right now the vacancy in the Senate of 10 seats with an eventual another election in the Senate scheduled to take place next May, while also the need to elect local politicians and elect local officials throughout the country. It's a determination that the President, the Prime Minister, and other members of civil society have put as an objective, and we are spending a great deal of time trying to see how it is that we might assist. So what I'll say, I'm going to stop my comments now, and we can continue in the discussion. But what I'll say is this: the strategy that the government of Haiti has as it relates to Haiti, the government of the United States has as it relates to Haiti, is to support the activities of the government of Haiti. And it is in our opinion right now that many of the elements necessary to do that are in place. That you have a government of what we would call technocrats, people, ministers, and people who recognize what are the challenges that Haiti faces and what is necessary to bring Haiti forward and recognizes that doing so requires the support of partners, and the United States is determined, as Congress has been very good at providing the support to, regardless of who is in the executive of this country, support for that purpose, and certainly the Congressional Black Caucus has been a leader in that effort. The United States recognizes that with partners like this, there is a lot that we can accomplish, and I think this is a great opportunity, and we'll see how much we can help Haiti deliver. Thank you.
You can go to the microphone. I just wanted to give him special props because he stayed within the time. I didn't have to do the hook, all right? So we appreciate that so much.
Great. Well, good afternoon, everyone. And thank you very much, Mr. Daniel, for this opportunity to talk to you all about what's going on with USAID's program in Haiti. As you mentioned, I just returned last night from just a very quick 3-day visit where I spent all my time in Port-au-Prince. But I thought I'd share with you just a couple of first impressions, not first impressions, but impressions from this last trip anyway, before I get into giving you some examples of the work that USAID is doing. One can't help but be buoyed by going to Haiti and see the resilience that is there, and how incredibly upbeat and positive and energized Haitians are about their future. One of the things that you will notice when you first land in Haiti is that 70% of the rubble from the earthquake just 2.5 years ago has now been removed, and probably another 10 to 20% of the rubble will never be removed because it's in places that are so dangerous that it would be very difficult to remove it, and it's places where the government of Haiti doesn't want people to go in and settle, like on steep ravines and such. So that's remarkable when you think about what our own experience has been in this country in removing rubble from our disaster in 9/11. And the fact that this has been done in just 2.5 years' time is really a tremendous result. We had, as you know, 1.5 million people living in tent camps right in the aftermath of the earthquake. That's now down to 369,000, and 1.1 million, over 1.1 million have been resettled. That's still too many people living in tent camps, but it's about a 7% rate per month that we see people leaving those camps and finding alternative shelter solutions, and so hopefully that will continue apace. Just a year ago, cholera was a terrible blight in Haiti. It could have killed many more. In fact, there was like 1,000 deaths per month. Now it is at what is considered to be the international standard for a case fatality rate of at or below 1% in most parts of the country. So that's another real success story. Yes, it's still endemic and it's still a problem, but what it says is that the social or the health messaging campaigns really are working, and people know what to do. If they contract it, they know where to go to get help, and it means that the health clinics throughout the country know how to respond. And so that is another, I think, a real good news story. The other thing that you see in Port-au-Prince is all the building that's going on. You've got a lot of foreign direct investment coming in for major buildings such as hotels and things like that. But you also see people building, you see on the sides of the road, the sand and the building materials, and people are rebuilding homes. We ourselves have rebuilt probably 28,000 shelters for people in Haiti, but Haitians aren't waiting on international donors to do it for them. They're doing it for themselves by and large. And so I think that's another great sign of success. In fact, we were at Place Boyer, and you see that, which used to be a major tent camp for IDPs and internally displaced persons. That is now an open park for people to enjoy, but this last time it had a fence around it, and I said, what's happening in there? And they said, well, the municipality got tired of waiting for donors to come and revitalize this camp, so they're doing it, or this park, they're just going to do it themselves. Great. That's a great initiative, and it's another sign of people taking charge of their own future. So all of those things, I think, and there's so many other examples that one could cite, shows that Haiti is really on the move. And if I could, I was just sitting here thinking, if I had to characterize our program, I would say we're at Haiti 3.0. From the aftermath of the earthquake in 2010, I would say that USAID's program was characterized by disaster response. In 2011, I would say that, and certainly it was not just our own program, but it's that of the government itself. I would say 2011 was characterized by sort of consolidating our strategic planning for long-term development programs going forward. At the same time, the Haitian government was going through a difficult election, and it was consolidating its political base. And as Joel just pointed out, we now have a very strong government to work with as partners, and they are very much in the lead of this development effort. So, you know, that was time well spent. And I would say now 2012 is all about implementation. I mean, we're seeing great results from the programs that we work in. Let me just tell you a couple of things that we're doing. For those that you don't know, that may not know, we work in 4 sectors in 3 geographic spaces. We wanted to go deep as opposed to wide. And so through first the IHRC and now through the Ministry of Plan, we have a very robust donor coordination mechanism so that we can make sure that we're not duplicating efforts and that we are really doubling down in the areas where we think, one, we've got a comparative advantage and where we can get real results. So for us, that means that we're focusing in on the corridors, 3 development corridors, if you will. One in Port-au-Prince, the other in Saint-Marc agricultural area, and then thirdly up in Cap Haitian. And we're working in 4 sectors. The first is infrastructure and energy. The second is health and education. The third is economic growth and agriculture. And the fourth is democracy, governance, and human rights. So during the Q&A, I'd be happy to talk to you in depth or answer any particular questions on those programs. But I thought, just to keep it within my 10-minute limit here, I would just give a couple of quick examples of things that I just happened to see and talk about in my last 3 days in Haiti. One of the first things I want to flag for you is what I think is another really terrific sign of success, and that was the capacity of the government of Haiti in the response that it had to Tropical Storm Isaac. You're right, it's almost like Haiti can't get a break, and once again we see this terrible tropical storm hit it. But what was different this time is that the government of Haiti was out in front, and the government of Haiti pre-evacuated over 14,000 people from very vulnerable shelters, including tent camps. That, to my knowledge, has never been done before. So I really think we've got to give kudos to the government. We had the Haitian National Police working with MINUSTAH. You had the Prime Minister out on the radio giving people warnings ahead of time, giving people advice of where to go and where to take shelter. So in other words, the 2 years of disaster preparedness and disaster mitigation activities that we've been helping to finance really showed itself in this case, and I think it saved lots and lots of lives as a result. Another example that I think is very promising is something that we're doing under our local government program. We're trying to work with mayors to raise revenues so that they can then provide services to citizens. And in Carrefour, one of the municipalities in which we're testing this approach, we have seen a 475% increase in revenues raised, just as a result of that one municipality doubling down again and realizing that it has these authorities to tax and collect. And it's doing it. And what are they doing with those resources? So it's not just about getting more money, but it's getting more money, as I said, for social services. And so they have a long list of items that they are now in a position to fund, from road repair to water purification systems to building schools. That's what they can do now that they've got these resources in hand. And so what we would like to do is expand that pilot and to roll it out nationwide. And hopefully we'll see some great results at the local level as a result of that. Another major thing that just happened last week was the Criminal Procedures Code, something that folks have been working on for years. Its final draft was submitted to the Minister of Justice, and now the Minister of Justice will look at it along with the Council of Ministers in order to make a major change in the way justice is meted out in Haiti. What this will do is bring much greater transparency to the justice sector, and it will decrease tremendously case backlog as well as pretrial detention, among other things. And so we're very excited to see that major milestone pass. These are things that you don't necessarily see in the headlines because it's a process, but it's very significant. And so I wanted to flag that for you. The other thing that I think is very significant, and again, the theme here is government of Haiti taking ownership and taking leadership in dealing with some of its hard and deep-seated issues. Ministry of Health, I think, is another great success story under the leadership of the minister herself, who is a real go-getter. And as you know, probably 80% of health services are through NGOs or through donors or through private practices. And so what the minister is trying to do is get a handle on who are all these community health workers, where are they, what kind of training do they have, what kind of training do they need, what kind of standards should we set, or should they set as a government to make sure that they're all of the same caliber, so that if USAID is funding community health workers through our program, and you've got the Canadians funding health workers through their program, or other private entities are coming in and training health workers. The idea is to try to build a system so that you have quality care and you've got broad geographic coverage. So I think that's a real important beginning. And one of the other things that we just did last week is we announced the first winners of grants that we're giving to small and medium-sized entrepreneurs who want to build their businesses and are looking for foreign direct investment. So if anybody wants to know how they can contribute to Haiti, we've got some companies that are just, ripe for some investment that will help them expand and will make you some money. So let me give you a couple of examples of who they are. The first is L'Atelier, which is a garment shop that seeks to expand and diversify its operations. The second is an industrial water purification company called Castimi that also is looking to increase its market share in Monument. The third is Sojepa, which is a company that seeks to increase its cocoa processing. And the fourth is EXA, a company that's involved in the collection and sale of recycled goods, which is a really important thing to do in Haiti as well. So this is just the beginning. We'll have another round of grant awards as well, but the idea is that we're looking for that low-hanging fruit. We want to find those entrepreneurs who have a good business model. We want to get them the technical assistance they need to grow and to expand, and we want to help attract foreign direct investment so that we can try to build that momentum going further, going into the future. And as I say, and as you all know, Haiti will never develop based on what foreign donors can provide to it. It's only going to develop through foreign direct investment. So it's getting that investment climate right, and it's attracting those kinds of investors who want to bet on Haiti. And I can just tell you from where I sit, I would say it's a very good bet. So look forward to talking to you more during the Q&A.
Thank you very much. And thank you for both of these presentations for specifics and benchmarks that we can look at and examine and discuss. Now we are delighted to hear from Mary Joseph, I'm sorry.
Bonsoir. Thank you, one. I would like also to thank Representative Conyers for his persistent support for justice and democracy in Haiti for the 18 years that I have worked in human rights. And Representative Wilson for engaging with Haiti as soon as she arrived in Washington. I would like also to thank my fellow panelists and everyone who has come today to discuss how the United States can better support the Constitution in my country. It is, of course, extremely important to build houses, treat the sick, and generate jobs. That is also important to build the rule of law and democracy, which is the foundation necessary for social and economic progress. Building this foundation is not easy, but we have too many examples in our story of development, work failing, and foreign aid dollars going to waste because of political instability and our government failure to respect human rights. I will start with something positive, an example of how this foundation can be built. It is well known that sexual assault is a persistent problem in Haiti, to which our justice system has not responded well. Rape victims are usually women, poor, uneducated, exactly the type of people least able to access our troubled system justice. But this summer, I participated in 4 rape trials, all of which led by conviction and prison time. And all 4 court monitors from grassroots women who promoted transparency while learning how to engage the justice system. In all 4, the defendants have had lawyers, and the victims were represented by young, motivated women lawyers from my office, who are specializing in youth and women's rights. In all 4, police made arrests with legal warrants. In most of them, the judges, prosecutors, and others court officials conduct trials that were fair to the victim and the accused. In 2 of the trials, expert psychologists and doctors educate the court about both the evidence in the case and the broad context of sexual assault. All the leading actors were Haitian, who, with a little help from above, was to challenge and did something that had never been done before in Haiti. Most important, it is sustainable. All of us now have the skill to do even better next time. There are, unfortunately, similar opportunities to build the foundation of democracy and justice that are being missed. There is a growing and systemic practice of illegal interference with judicial independence. Just this month, the executive branch has illegally transferred 2 chief trial court judges and fired a justice of peace who had a conflict with a government senator. 3 members of our Supreme Court, la Cour de Cassation, including the Chief Justice, were appointed illegally by the President earlier this year. The High Council of Justice Board, an oversight board whose installation was justifiably claimed as a step forward to the current administration, lost 2 of its members and most of its credibility when 4 of its 9 members, led by illegally appointed Supreme Court Chief Justice, held an illegal vote and violate its own statute to choose representative for the Permanent Electoral Council. Our officials are setting Haiti up for another flag election. Election for 10 of our 30 senators, which should have been held last November, are not yet scheduled. The President has announced that the election will be run by that he called a Permanent Electoral Council. The 3 seats of the Council that should be named by ballot out of 9 are vacant, because the Senate cannot obtain 2/3 quorum of its own seat vacant. The 3 seats named by the Judicial Council are contested by most of legal organizations and human rights groups. In the midst of those controversies, there is a growing intolerance of government critics. I represent two grassroots activists, Oxygène David and Charles Duquesne, who were arrested illegally in June 19 and held in our inhuman national penitentiary until August 10. A full week after GH issued a release order. The government and its supporters are also intimidating journalists and increasing rate. Lillian Miller from right here in DC has been in miserable prison in Haiti since May, held without charge or evidence present against her. At the same time, Jean Claude Duvalier, who according to the US government documents, killed, arrested hundreds of people, and stole millions of dollars, spent his time in the nightclub and the fine restaurant of Beethoven. So, what can the United States do to help build a more democratic and just foundation for Haiti's development? First, the US government can use your substantial financial and political influence with our current administration to ensure fair election and respect the independence of the judiciary, the freedom of the press, the right of political dissidents. Second, the United States should continue to its principal opposition to the restoration of Haiti's army, which should divert resources from economic and social development and increase human rights violations. Third, the United States should demonstrate the leadership it was shown in other contexts by insisting that Haiti respect its obligation under the international law to prosecute Jean Claude Duvalier. Finally, you can continue to urge a just response to the United Nations Cholera Epidemic in Haiti. I would like to thank Representative Conyers, Representative Wilson, and the own grade of 3 of your colleagues who signed a letter to Ambassador Susan Rice in July, urged her to pursue a just response to the United Nations. I would urge you to follow up the letter with the State Department and the United Nations and the way the UN respond to cholera when considering contribution to the organization. Thank you for listening to me. And I look forward to a discussion. Please remember that we cannot construct a better Haiti on the same rotten foundation that failed so many times. We cannot. And that when foreign development effort in Haiti is failed, is frustrating for you, but deadly for the poor in my country. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And again, certainly some food for interchange and dialogue, given some various descriptions of what is going on. So now we hear from Brian Concan.
Thanks, Ron. And I'd like to thank everybody for coming. And I'd also like to thank Representative Conyers and Representative Wilson for sponsoring this, and Cynthia and Mike for organizing this. I agree with what everybody has said before, that there are opportunities in Haiti to make a better Haiti, to build a better Haiti. And we certainly can and must seize those opportunities. But optimism alone will not overcome the real obstacles that are in the path. And I think it's essential to pay attention to the details, whereas we know the devil often resides. And one example is that both Joel and Mario talked about the new Judicial Council. And as someone who's been fighting for the independence of the judiciary in Haiti for 18 years, I was really excited when the Judicial Council was finally, it's been in the Constitution since 1987, and it was finally installed in June. And I was really excited by that. I thought this was a historic opportunity. But within a few weeks, the head of the council was the illegally appointed head of the Supreme Court. And they did a vote to put their representatives on the electoral council that was totally illegal and underhanded. And so, although it's in principle a very good thing that you do have the Judicial Council operating, we do need to take a very close look to see whether it is in fact operating in a way that advances and promotes democracy, or is it in a way that is, once again, as Mario said, contributing to a rotten foundation for building a society. Another place where I think we really need to look at the details is the cholera epidemic. And like Beth, I was really excited when that rate started going down. At some point, I think 5% of the people who were seeking medical treatment were dying, and now it's below 1%, which is great. And that means a lot of 4 out of every 100 people getting sick, their lives are being saved. And that's obviously huge for individuals, for families, and for society as a whole. But the fact that the fatality rate goes down doesn't mean people aren't still getting sick. And it doesn't mean people still aren't dying. Haiti's cholera epidemic is the worst, currently the worst cholera epidemic in the world, by far. And it is the worst cholera epidemic in a single country in modern history. According to the Pan American Health Organization, their estimate is about 1,200 people will die this year. We're just over, a little bit over 7,500 died so far officially, and everybody recognizes that number is a far undercount. Some medical experts have told me it's probably about 50% of the total, so we're looking closer to 15,000 people killed. And we're also creeping up on 600,000 people who have been sick. And the only way, the treatment is great, but even that is threatened. Secretary General Ban Ki-moon of the UN, in his recent report 2 weeks ago, sounded the alarm bell of the medical treatment is receding as donor money is going out, and raising the specter that the death rates are going to go back up. But in the end, as Beth mentioned, cholera is endemic in Haiti. That means it's not going anywhere. And that means that you can keep treating people, but people are still going to get sick and people are still going to die unless you deal with the underlying causes. And the way to deal with the underlying causes in Haiti is the way we dealt with the United States in the 19th century, the way most European countries did in the 19th century, the way that South American countries did in the 20th century. You build adequate water and sanitation infrastructure. There's obviously, that's an expensive proposition, but there's money there, and one of the ways that the money should come is that the UN should pay for it, because the UN brought cholera to Haiti. For those who don't know, there's much more information out there about cholera, but kind of the quick account is that UN troops deployed from an area where there was already a cholera epidemic were not tested for cholera, were deployed in a base where sewage was disposed in a place where it leaked straight into the Artibonite River system. And that's how the cholera, because Haiti is very vulnerable, the cholera spread very quickly throughout the country. The UN acted recklessly in doing it and is legally liable. I've been a lawyer now for 23 years. If we could get into a court, this would be the easiest case I've ever done. The liability against the UN is absolutely clear. They don't even try to make a good defense. Their own report actually is Exhibit A in our complaint against them. The reason why I don't get to try the easiest case of my career is that the UN has an immunity agreement with Haiti that prevents national courts from having jurisdiction. And that's important because the fact that the UN is denying victims their day in court by hiding behind an immunity agreement is very subversive of everything that the international community espouses in Haiti. As we've mentioned, you need to establish basic democratic procedures, including the rule of law. And in order, I work for the UN in Haiti, and one of the things, so I know from doing this, one of the things you need to do is convince Haitians to give up whatever advantages they have from a non-rule of law system in return for the collective benefits of having a rule of law. And the only way you can do that is if people believe that everybody's going to have to be subject to the rule of law. And no one's going to believe it if you have the UN, the most powerful organization, saying, no, we're just not going to give anybody the day in court because we're bigger than you. That is deeply subversive of any rule of law effort and of any development effort an anti-corruption effort in Haiti. Another place I think we need to look at the details, as Mario mentioned. Well, first, as Joe mentioned, it is of course vitally important that you have freedom of expression, that people have the right to criticize the government, to engage in debates, and it's important to note that there are some very important limitations to that in Haiti. We're certainly not in a situation, a Duvalier type situation, or a 1991 to 1994 type situation, but we're in a situation where there are serious limits on the right to express your opinions. Mario's clients, who spent 2 months in prison for engaging in legal protest, are one example. Another example is there's been intimidation of the press. Some journalists have had their materials destroyed by security guards. Some have been threatened by senators and some actually executive branch officials. And in the context of Haiti, where journalists are also receiving, these are not traceable to the government, but it's part of the context from a journalist standpoint, where they're receiving lots of threats, including one of the journalists who was threatened 2 weeks ago by a senator close to the government. He's been saying that he's been getting a lot of phone calls, anonymous, but it was right after he got the threats from the senator. And in that context, the journalists are reporting that they are self-censoring, that they do not feel comfortable giving their full voice to their investigations and to their comments on government activities. And we just, last night, the University of San Francisco and the Institute for Justice and Democracy in Haiti, we put out a report based on an investigation involving interviews with journalists in Haiti to evaluate the freedom of the press. And there's copies of that outside. Another I think, limit, well, going back to what Mario was saying, when he was talking about some of his clients being limited in their ability to engage in protective activity, one thing Mario neglected to mention was himself. Last month, a police car with tinted windows that you couldn't see in parked outside his office for several hours one day and stopped people coming out of it and interrogated them. 2 weeks ago, Mario was summoned to appear before an investigative judge, and which is highly unusual. It's legal, but it's unusual for a lawyer to be summoned in. And from the questions that the judge asked and from the evidence presented, it was clear that the judge had no indication that Mario was involved in or knew about any criminal activity. And so it's pretty clear that this was a harassment for some of Mario's work defending protesters and defending government critics. And this takes place in the context where Mario regularly gets anonymous threatening phone calls, and there's been lots of threats spray painted on the wall outside of his office. Bringing it back to the United States policy, I second Mario's thanks of Representative Conyers and Representative Wilson and 103 other members who did stand up and ask Ambassador Rice to pursue a just response to call from the United Nations, and I appreciate that, and I hope that still continues. Another area I think that's very important for the U.S. to get involved, as Mario mentioned, is the Duvalier prosecution case. As an American lawyer, as an American human rights lawyer, I take great pride that our country has, in many places, from Nuremberg up through a lot of the international criminal tribunals right now, that our country and U.S. lawyers have played the leading role in bringing to justice people responsible for more large-scale, politically motivated crimes. Our current State Department has a virtual all-star team of people who've done these cases. And in spite of that, the U.S. government has not, to my knowledge, made any public statements in favor of of Haiti respecting its international law obligation to prosecute Jean Claude Duvalier. That, as well as, and I'll conclude with that, that as well is deeply subversive of all rule of law efforts. Again, when you're asking a Haitian, a judge or a prosecutor or a police officer to pass out bribes saying you've got to put your personal interest secondary to the rule of law, And then someone who was responsible for stealing hundreds of millions of dollars and killing or imprisoning hundreds of people is allowed to live perfectly free. You're sending a very mixed message, and the message of the rule of law is going to get lost in it. Thank you.
Okay, moving right along, we have two more speakers before we open it up to the audience. So I'm intrigued by a couple of questions that I may also pose, but Melinda Miles is next up.
Good afternoon. I'd like to start by thanking Congressman Conyers and Congressman Wilson for putting this panel together and allowing me to be here on behalf of TransAfrica to talk about the situation in Haiti. I was just in Haiti a few weeks ago myself. I was there with a group of Veterans for Peace and author Alice Walker, and our purpose in Haiti was to meet with community-based groups, especially in the Port-au-Prince area, to talk about what their priorities and needs are right now so that we could hear from them in their own words what concerns them most. And during that time, we had an opportunity to visit some of the internal displacement camps that still exist in Port-au-Prince, and also some of the places that people evicted from those camps now live outside of the city in the areas of Conyers and Titanier. As Tropical Storm Isaac approached Haiti a few weeks ago, I couldn't sleep at night. I don't know about you guys, but I was thinking about the 400,000 people still under tents and the hundreds of thousands more that are in substandard housing since the earthquake in 2010. Alice Walker said it made her sad for humanity to see the situation in Haiti because it is indeed a crisis of humanity. I heard just now from a representative from USAID that 1.1 million people have been, quote unquote, resettled by the government of Haiti. And I think this number is very suspect. When we take into account that only 5,000 permanent homes have been constructed and only 13,000 have been repaired for 1.5 million people who were displaced, I find it impossible to believe that 1.1 million have been resettled. They have, however, been resettled, so to speak, through violent forced evictions. In 2011, which now it's been over a year, the International Office for Migration reported that 34% of internally displaced people had already been violently or forcibly evicted from where they were living after the earthquake. When we think about alternative housing solutions and this 7% of the number of IDPs that are leaving the camps every month, we have to actually look at where they're going. We know that many have returned to unsafe housing that has not been demolished or repaired. We know that in places like Cholera, outside the city, over 50,000 people are now living in what is a desert floodplain without access to water or sanitation, very far from the city. We know also that people have moved into other camps, sort of off the grid, if you will. I think that a lot of the relocations that have happened, we've seen camps be removed from the most visible areas in Port-au-Prince so that it looks like a lot of progress. But many of those people have just gone and been absorbed into other camps that are less visible. As soon as you leave the main roads of the capital, you are confronted by what are not really camps any longer, but are really slums at this point. We see a lot of permanent materials being integrated into tarps and canvas and other kinds of what were tents. Now you see real doors on canvas structures. You see corrugated tin and other kinds of materials that are being incorporated. And so these are places that are becoming permanent if they're not already permanent. And we heard also about the investments that are being made to build hotels and other things, other kinds of foreign investment that's happening in Haiti. And this is very important, and I wouldn't be one to say that it's not. However, at this point, 33 months after the earthquake, with so many people still without viable and safe or decent housing, it's really raised a question for me as to the priorities of the funders and of the Haitian government. That we see money going into five-star hotels and we still see hundreds of thousands of people, women and children and fathers and mothers and grandmothers, babies being born in tents, children who've lived their whole lives in these camps in these conditions. And this should be the #1 priority. We know also that the government has done a relocation program. It's known as 16-6. I expect that many of you are familiar with it. It was a project to relocate people from several camps that were high visibility back into their neighborhoods. Unfortunately, the money that's been offered to families to relocate is very inadequate in the situation in Port-au-Prince today. So people being offered $500 US to try to find a rental home while rental prices have skyrocketed. And I apologize, we weren't able to show you some of the videos that I hope to show you today from the camps. But we have done interviews with some of the mothers who are still living in the camps who say, you know, this amount of money it's impossible to find housing, decent housing with this amount of money. Also, the amount of money pledged for the overall relocation program would be inadequate to meet the needs of all of the people who are still displaced. So even if the whole program was funded, it wouldn't be enough. I think that when we look at the situation, what I want to focus on is solutions, because we've been hearing about the problems of displaced people since the day after the earthquake. We've been seeing footage of the camps. We know that after it rains, people are living in the mud, that when it rains, they're standing in the water and unable to sleep or find any kind of relief from that. We know, as Brian and others have mentioned, that cholera continues to be an epidemic that affects thousands of people in the country every month. Haitians have proposed their own solutions to this housing crisis, to this displacement crisis that they're in. And I think it's very important for the US government and our members of Congress to take these recommendations and to work with the Haitian government to meet these needs. Haitians are looking for permanent solutions to their housing problems. Piecemeal relocation programs where some people receive a stipend to move and others do not, they don't solve this overall problem. Haiti needs a major public housing program. This is something that the United States has funds in the pipeline that could be determined to be specifically for that kind of a housing program. In the meantime, the Haitian government needs to cease any and all illegal evictions of people living in camps. We're talking about 32, 33 months under a tarp with your family. We have interviews with mothers of 2, 4, 6 children who've been living in these one-room tents. They have mud on the floor, and it's just, at this time of year, I was very disturbed by the lack of response to Tropical Storm Isaac, the lack of focus on the experience of people living in these camps after this storm passed. The hurricane season will not end until November. And so, as far as I'm concerned and my partners on the ground are concerned, housing solutions are a #1 priority. Haiti does not yet have a housing ministry that could oversee a major public housing program. That's very important. And these kinds of large-scale solutions are the only things that are going to really solve this problem. I'm going to stop there, and I just want to encourage everyone to grab the policy statement we have on the table outside. It's from a campaign called Under Tents. There are dozens of organizations here in the United States in solidarity with housing movements in Haiti that have come together to give concrete policy recommendations. We know we've been talking for years about the problem. We've named it, we've seen the pictures. I think a lot of us have trouble sleeping at night when it rains in Port-au-Prince. However, the Haitian people have come and they've said this is the solution. We want a comprehensive housing plan, and I think that needs to be a #1 priority. Thanks.